Since a lot of you have been asking for a tutorial, here's a full step-by-step tutorial on how I did the turning in my Trust Me animation. Note that this is my first time doing something like this, so bear with me, okay? First off, get your drawing ready. Since I know I won't be able to replicate what I did with Phoenix's rig, let's just start a new project entirely together, using my drawing of Inquisitor Barnum from Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Please play it. It's really good. That I made back in March. But don't worry, I'll reference the Trust Me animation throughout this entire video. The essential body parts to have for this are the arm that goes behind the torso, the arm that goes in front of the torso, and the head with whatnot. However, we are going to divide the arm that goes in front of the torso into 3 parts: the upper arm, the forearm, and the hand. I used way more in this Barnum drawing, but you don't need to do that. Simply 3 is key, like Santa. Just remember that the arm in front should look like it's reaching to the camera, making it increase in size the closer it is to us. That's why Phoenix's hand is pretty much the same size as his head. Moving on, this is entirely optional, it's just what I always do for tweening. To have the entire face on different layers. For this simple turn though, I recommend just having the nose, eyes, with eyebrows or not, and mouth on different layers. This will make the turn smoother later on. But if you want to know what I do, I have the mouth, the eye whites, the irises, the eyelids, the nose, and the brows all on separate layers for more complex movements. Also, for the Phoenix animation, I only had his head as a layer, but for this Barnum one, for whatever reason, the back of his hair is also on another layer. You do not need to do that unless you have a character with long hair, because that's what I did for Maya too, making the movement look more 3D. The bangs as well if applicable. Getting your parts ready! I'm just gonna say this now. I use 60 frames per second keyframe animation. Save all your layers individually and import them into your animation software. I'm going to be using ToonSquid for this since a light motion would genuinely treat me like Tipsy Toes Hall, but you can still follow what I'm doing even in a light motion or whatever other app you use. Just try your best to replicate it. The rules I follow are basic enough. Here's another thing I like to do. I usually add another layer below the head, nose, and torso and fill it in with whatever. Then I turn it into a symbol and set the opacity to 0. This layer sort of acts like an assistant, which helps me move the head whenever, since the head is preoccupied with moving up and down. Because the movement on the head layer is looped, adding new keyframes to change its position, rotation, or scale will disrupt this loop. That's why having another layer to use instead is helpful. Make sure they have the same pivot points! I know that if you're watching this, you most likely already know how to tween, so you don't need me telling you this, but I'll explain anyway. Once you have all your layers in, please name them. That will make this process so much easier. Be sure to add your pivot points first by dragging this little circle thingy to where you want your parts to connect and move from. Pivot points are like joints or door hinges. Wherever you place them, that's where the part will rotate, scale, and move from. Once you have that all out of the way, it's time to parent everything. Do that as you would normally on a light motion or elsewhere. In ToonSquid, we use a transform hierarchy. It's really easy to use. Add the part that controls everything first, and then drag parts that are under that control into it. So the torso assistant goes first, followed by the torso itself, and under that goes the head assistant, then the head, and so on and so forth. Be sure that the arm behind the torso and the upper arm in front of the torso are connected to the torso. Connecting to the upper arm is the forearm, and connected to that is the hand. For the face, I use the nose as what has control over everything on the head that's not hair. The irises stay directly under the head's control though, to get this kind of effect. I don't know where or when I picked it up, but it looks cool, so if you want to copy this, you can. The turn! Basically. Wait for more death later on. Woohoo! You have everything ready for what you actually came here for. Oh boy. This is for if your character is facing the left side, like Phoenix. When turning to the left or away from the camera, the arm behind the torso moves to the right, hiding behind the body. The arm in front moves to the left. When turning to the right or towards the camera, it's the opposite. The arm behind the torso moves to the left, peeking from behind the body. The arm in front moves to the right. If your character is facing the right, like Maya, it's the opposite. When turning to the right or away from the camera, then the arm behind the torso moves to the left, hiding behind the body. The arm in front moves to the right. When turning to the left or towards the camera, it's the opposite. The arm behind the torso moves to the right, peeking from behind the body. The arm in front moves to the left. I know it sounds complicated, but just find whichever explanation fits what you're going for and just follow that. The face follows the direction of the arm in front of the torso. If your character has long hair, make the hair follow the direction of the arm behind the torso, and the bangs follow the direction of the arm in front of the torso. Also, the hand should be moving the most left and right, like furthest, have the most amplitude, I think. And the forearm should have the second most amplitude, and the upper arm the least amount. Now I'll show you how I actually animate it on ToonSquid with keyframes. The head bopping! Open your torso layer, and after a couple frames, add a keyframe. This will automatically add a keyframe at the start of your part. If it doesn't, just go and add one at the start of your part. Make sure that these keyframes are identical, meaning they have the same position, rotation, scale, and all. Now, move somewhat to the middle and add another keyframe. This is where the movement actually happens. Here, adjust to however you'd like your part to move. I usually just move it down a tiny bit. Afterwards, open your head layer, and using the torso's keyframes as a guide, place the keyframes in the same spot you did for the torso. Adjust the middle keyframe's position as desired. Do this for the nose too if you added the face separately. Because ToonSquid doesn't have nice wave graphs, whatever they're called, like a light motion, we have to make our own cycles. For this, I select the first keyframe and use the quadratic ease in graph. Then I select the middle keyframe and use the cubic ease out graph. Now, please do not copy and paste your keyframes over and over again. That's a big waste of your 4 minutes before death because you copy and pasted them. Well, you can copy and paste them if you have a specific bounce pattern, because that's what I did for the Clip-Hole and Molars video, but trust me with this, okay? Instead, select all of your keyframes by tapping and dragging your finger over the screen. Then select Loop. This is what I was talking about earlier about having assistant layers, since if you add a new keyframe later on, it will seize the loop. Once that's finished, go back to the head layer and select all your keyframes again. Move them slightly to the right. I tend to delay them by 2 frames. After the head, delay the nose by the same amount of frames after the head. So if you delayed the head by 2 frames, delay the nose by 4 from the start. So it's 2 frames after the head. I don't know if that makes sense, I'm sorry. This is how you achieve the smoother, fluid look. I think I first discovered this with my Professor Layton and Luke animation featuring Emmy, but I don't know, I used a light motion for that one, and it's the same way I do on ToonSquid. The turn! With effects on ToonSquid. Yay! You have the basic stuff down now. Get ready for this next part because we're going to be abusing the mesh effect a lot. The mesh effect will be the eye of a teardate. The smooth animation won't function without it. Select your torso layer, press this thing which is properties, press the plus symbol in effects, and scroll down to mesh. Now on the side we have these. The top button adds points, the one below removes points, and the last one adjusts points. Use the first one to add points. Ensure that you encircle your entire part. If you don't, it will come out clipped. And you're gonna have to go back and fix it if you don't like how it looks, like I did. Once you have it all in, add points along the edges of the actual part. And for the torso, I like to add 1 point on the chest and 1 or wherever this is considered. Now, for the keyframes, do the same thing you did for the head bopping, except you don't have to place the keyframes in the same spot as the ones for the head bopping. You can have these however you want, like how the mesh keyframes don't align with the position keyframes here. For the middle keyframe, select the transform or adjust mesh option and slightly move the chest and stomach points in whichever direction the front arm is moving. If it's moving to the left, move these to the left. Then, still in the middle keyframe, move the points along the edges that are beside the arm behind the torso in the same direction the arm behind the torso is moving. If it's moving right, move these to the right as well. And it should look like this. I adjusted the points along where his back should be, so you can just play around with that too. Do the same thing you did for the torso with the head. I don't really know how to explain it, just do what I did here. Adjust the bangs and hair behind the head if necessary. You'd think I'd use the mesh tool for this, but I got really lazy for the Phoenix animation and just used the warp tool. You don't need to add points for this, just play around with it by dragging the circles until it looks the way you want to. But remember to still add and loop your keyframes. For the Phoenix animation, I didn't use a perspective effect on his hands, but I did here, so if you want to, go ahead. This tutorial is getting really long and I feel like I'm over-explaining things, but do add the mesh effect to the eyes if you have it on a separate layer and make it follow the way you have your head mesh moving, so the eye doesn't look like it's falling off of the head. We don't need another Cyclops serial killer on the loose. Add finishing touches and bam, it's done! I think you'll have a lot of questions for me because I don't think I explained it that well, so please don't be shy to ask in the comments. The results should be posted by now unless you're super duper early and I didn't post it yet. Yeah, I'm a little sick, but I still want to give this to you guys, so